If you're thinking about buying a home in the Portland suburbs, this video should interest you. I'm sure you've probably shopped online or looked online for homes for sale, probably visited websites like Redfin or Zillow and seen home value estimates, or as Zillow calls it, a Zestimate, all these home value trackers. And what's the one thing that you kind of notice when you're looking at home values, especially if you're following your own home value? Well, they're always different. Why is Redfin's estimate different than Zillow's estimate, or whatever website or article that you're looking at, and where do they get this information from? I know for me personally, Zillow and Redfin, their estimates have varied about 15 or 20% for my own personal residence, which really doesn't make any sense. So rather than just relying on estimates and Zestimates, I'm gonna show you the raw data. I'm gonna show you sales numbers, and we're gonna take a look at the areas that have appreciated the least, or in some cases depreciated. And you might be surprised. I was kind of surprised when I put some of these numbers together. Let's dig in. All right, like I mentioned, this is going to be for the Portland suburbs, also known as Clackamas County and Washington County. Portland is a tri-county area, the other county being Multnomah County. That's where Portland proper is. We actually did a video on Portland and covered the lowest appreciating or highest depreciating neighborhoods in Portland, if you want to watch that there. And so in today's video, we're going to focus on Washington and Clackamas County. Just overall, in general, the real estate market, we haven't seen much appreciation over the last couple of years. We're really kind of right about where we were at the peak, which was summer of 2021. For the most part, Portland, the Portland metro area, and the country as a whole is kind of right around that spot. So you've seen home values maybe go up or down just 1 or 2 points over the last couple of years. I'm going to take 3 from each county. So we'll do 3 from Clackamas County and then 3 from Washington County. I'll show you actually my spreadsheet of all the towns if you want to see all the appreciation or depreciation, but we'll just focus on the 3 poorest performing first, starting with Clackamas County. Now the first one is one that surprised me, which is going to be Happy Valley. But before we get into the numbers, let me tell you my methodology. What I did is I took sales numbers from the past 3 months, so this would be for October, November, and December, averaged them out and compared them with the previous year. So we're looking at an average of the past 3 months year-over-year data. And the town that performed the poorest in Clackamas County is going to be Happy Valley at over 4% depreciation over the past year. Now that was very surprising to me. Why? Because Happy Valley is one of the more desirable places for people to move to in the Portland metropolitan area. It's one of the kind of like the up and coming places, if you will. There's lots of new construction in Happy Valley. There's a brand new high school. The market might have been slightly more competitive a couple of years ago. That might be a reason why we didn't quite see the more recent growth. And what we've seen over the past couple of years is some of the markets that were hotter, especially throughout like the country, places like Phoenix, Austin, Boise, places that appreciated faster also came back down and corrected faster and depreciated faster. So maybe we've got a little bit of that going on with Happy Valley. There's also the possibility that some more valuable homes were maybe sold in the past year or so. The Street of Dreams was there a couple of years ago. You do have homes that are well beyond the average in Happy Valley, a lot of seven-figure, multi-seven-figure homes. So one thing that might skew the data a little bit is that sales transactions are down maybe 30% or so roughly from a year ago. So sample size compared from the past 3 months is a little bit smaller than a sample size was a year ago. And Happy Valley was the average for 2021 was 721,000, right at its peak of summer of 2021. Average home value 762,000, so we're not too far off that, but this might be a good time to buy in Happy Valley. Now if I were to look at like Multnomah County, again comparing our video that we did on Portland about a year ago, the areas that saw depreciation, it was sort of obvious why we saw depreciation. They had a lot of proximity to crime and homelessness, where that's not the case with Happy Valley. Kind of like I said, Happy Valley is up and coming, so I expect Happy Valley to be a good investment long term. So I see that recent depreciation probably more of anything just as an opportunity. All right, next one on the list. Next one is going to be Milwaukee. Milwaukee is one I've often labeled as one of the best values in the suburbs of the Portland metropolitan area. That's largely due to its proximity and its affordable homes. You're paying lower prices, but you're getting a kind of a lot of what you would get from like a Southeast Portland, but not paying those Southeast Portland prices. And Milwaukee was actually one of the hottest zip codes, or the zip code that's mentioned here. There's 2 zip codes in Milwaukee actually, but Milwaukee is one of the hottest towns pre-COVID. And Milwaukee is also right next to Happy Valley, although it is a lot quicker to get to Portland from Milwaukee than it is from Happy Valley. Some of the best shopping actually in Clackamas County is going to be around Happy Valley, right in between Milwaukee and Happy Valley. Got a lot of great schools there, so there's plenty of amenities and restaurants. And as you can see, Milwaukee just appreciated 0.79%, so sort of a negligible amount. And then third on the list for Clackamas County is Gladstone. Gladstone is right next to Milwaukee. I'm guessing you haven't heard of Gladstone. Gladstone is, I believe it'll be the smallest town on the list, probably the smallest town on my entire spreadsheet that I'll share with you here in just a moment. There's maybe about 12,000 people there. If you're going through Gladstone, you live in Gladstone, not too familiar with the area, you really won't notice a whole lot of difference between Gladstone and Milwaukee. You won't notice where Gladstone ends and Milwaukee begins. Not a whole lot of difference in the vibe or amenities or anything like that. The only thing I would say is their high school is smaller. We have 6 associations in the state of Oregon, and Gladstone is a 4A school, whereas a lot of the other schools that are going to be on this list or in these areas are going to be 6A schools. So being a little bit smaller high school, maybe sometimes Gladstone is a little bit overlooked, but it's still just as good of an area as Milwaukee. And as you can see with the prices there, the home prices there, a little bit less expensive than Milwaukee. All right, well, we live in Portland, so here comes that rain. Might have been a little bit ambitious for me to do a walk and talk outside here today. We're actually gearing up for snow tomorrow, so it's always a big day in Portland when we expect snow. You know, people are getting their supplies at the store, you know, preparing for the worst, all that stuff. All right, and by the way, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new to this channel, living in Oregon, and you'd like to see more about what it's like to live here, make sure and subscribe to this channel. We've got over 100 videos, a lot of videos showing you what the area looks like, neighborhood tours, driving, drone tours, things like that, things that go over the pros and cons, really give you a feel for the town. My name's Seth Marchant. I'm a licensed broker in the state of Oregon. I've helped a lot of people buy homes and relocate here to Oregon. If you're one of those people that's thinking about taking the next steps, if you have questions, I invite you to call me, text me, email me. You can hit that QR code if you're watching from TV, and that'll take you to our website where you can find all of our contact information and everything else. Feel free to get in touch with whatever way is best for you. Okay, let's get into Washington County here before I get rained out. So this is zip code 97223. This is going to be a big zip code, not like a Gladstone. This is going to have about 50,000 people in it. If you're looking on a map, it is Tigard, Metzger, Garden Home, kind of those 3 areas. Got a lot of different types of homes here. A lot of those developed in the last 30, 40, 50 years. A lot of ranch style homes. Got great proximity to Portland, as you can see. The first 3 places, last 3 places I mentioned, were on the east side of the river. We're now on the west side of the river, but it up right next to Lake Oswego and Southwest Portland. Similar to Happy Valley, this is a great area, and so also a little bit of a surprise. You know, the sales data, it is what it is. You know, it might just be timing. I don't think this is a bad place to buy in. In fact, it's a great place to buy in. Great schools in this area, like the other areas that we've covered. Great amenities there too. You do have a Costco, and there is a Trader Joe's. I don't know what it's like where you live, but here in Portland, Trader Joe's is super, super popular. And any place that doesn't have a Trader Joe's, people are always speculating as to when or where they're going to get a Trader Joe's. So you got Trader Joe's covered in this area. And usually home values are always pretty good whenever you're around a Trader Joe's or a Costco. So similar to Happy Valley, I would sort of perceive this as an opportunity to buy in this area with home prices the way that they are. All right, next is zip code 97006 in Beaverton. This area could actually be, this is Beaverton, Aloha, and Hillsboro. We also have just right at about 4% depreciation year over year. This area's also got about 50,000 people in it. And we're just northwest of the last zip code, 97223. One thing that's kind of interesting about this area, in terms of demographics, for Portland, one thing you hear about Portland, one complaint people complain about the racial demographics. Not enough racial diversity. Portland, I think, is about 72% white. Well, this part of Beaverton is 60%, with 21% being Hispanic and 15% being Asian. Lots of times when you hear people that want to live in an area that has a little bit more racial diversity, they're usually looking more towards Multnomah County, where Portland proper is. This area also has a median household income of about $93,000 and the average household income of $129,000. So kind of a more affluent area. Again, you're going to find some variation though with 50,000 people, just like the last area. You're going to find some variation in neighborhoods. It's not all going to be the same and necessarily the same vibe. And then finally, we have a zip code in Hillsboro, almost 2% depreciation over the past year. And this zip code actually extends pretty far south and gets into some rural properties, but there weren't too many sold out there to kind of really skew the data. Reed's Crossing is also here, which is 463 acres. And it's the largest mixed-use master plan community in Oregon. They've got recreation, shopping, all the restaurants you could want. Obviously great schools out there too. There's 80 acres of parks and greenways and open space and walking paths. So a lot of new construction going on out there. A lot of new development similar to Happy Valley. So similar to Happy Valley, I would expect this area to do well over the next 5 to 10 years. So these two last zip codes that I mentioned, a lot of people moving to the Portland metropolitan area, moving to Beaverton, Hillsboro. A lot of the reason being is because that's where a lot of the jobs are going to be. So when you've got jobs, good jobs, amenities, a lot of growth and development, you should expect some good appreciation over the years. And then finally, I'll share with you real quickly, like I said, my spreadsheet so you can see all the numbers. These are just the towns in the Portland metropolitan area in these two counties. There are other towns in these counties that are sort of outside of the Portland metropolitan area, especially Clackamas County. It's a large county. It makes its way all the way to Mount Hood, and some other surprises in there, some double-digit appreciation. I definitely wouldn't expected to see that until I ran the math. All right, so that concludes it. There's one last point that I want to make, kind of one little takeaway, even as I look at these numbers, which is out of all of these towns, all of these zip codes, I really don't think that there's a bad place to buy in. You might find a few sketchy areas, but for the most part, as far as your investment goes, I would feel comfortable in all of these areas that I've mentioned, even the ones that have recently depreciated. Like I said, probably a little bit more of a value opportunity right now. In general, this is going to be true of anywhere, but in general, if you want to buy a single family home that you can expect will appreciate over the years, best thing you can do is just follow the good schools. And for all of these areas that I've talked about that you've seen, they're on my spreadsheet, they're all pretty much good schools to great schools, some of the best schools. Best schools, Sherwood, Lake Oswego, West Linn, Wilsonville, but some of the schools that aren't necessarily best are still good schools. So I don't necessarily think that some of these areas are bad areas or the worst areas to buy in. These are just the numbers. Like I said, I ran the numbers. I'm a numbers person. I like to look at numbers. I like data. We like to go over numbers on this channel, so the numbers are what they are. If you want to discuss further, if you have questions about this, if you ever want me to give you an idea of what your home is worth, if you live here in the Portland metropolitan area and you want me to run comps on your home and tell you what it's worth, again, I invite you to reach out, call, text, email, and if you want to see more videos about what it's like to live in Oregon, make sure and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Lets me know I'm doing a good job, and feel free to comment below on YouTube. We'll reply back. Until next time, take care, everyone.